Yo, what's really good, my people? Y'all know who it is. Y'all know what it is. Let's get into this. First off, before we get into this, I just want to say thank you to all my supporters. We finally got to 1,000. You know, it's been a long time coming. Thank you for everybody that's been here from day one. Even if you just got here in the last video, thank you, and thank you for supporting me. And you know, it is what it is. I do not do this for money. I have not made $1, and I'm not, I don't care about that. I'm here to talk to the people, share some laughs, tell you about what's going on, give you my perspective, and I thank you to everybody that stood with me through this journey. Shout out to people like H. Rivera, Tavia the Savior, Jenny Love, many more who constantly leave comments of encouragement and all these things, man. Y'all really showed love, and I want to let y'all know I appreciate y'all and I love y'all, man. Real shit, everybody. So in honor of the 1,000 subscribers, I wanted to give y'all another story. So here goes a story. This is not a continuation of the last 2 stories. This is a random story that I was thinking about, and I just thought that it would be something that I think y'all would find interesting or whatever. It's a crazy story to me. Let's see what happens, what y'all think. So growing up on the block, for whatever reason, people, not for whatever reason, it's dangerous out there. People have a lot of guns. But let me prefix this by saying this story happened probably in 2003. This is way back when some of the people that I'm gonna be speaking on are even gone and they're not with us no longer. Others I've lost contact with, and God knows where they're at. I wish them the best wherever they're at. So that being said, let's get into the story. It is a story about when 2 individuals from my block had got caught with an AK-47 and 1,000 rounds in a book bag. They didn't just get caught. They were selling it to an undercover officer. So here's how that happened. Now, I was always in the mix, and at the time, I wasn't dealing with none of my family. I was out there pretty much on my own, doing what I had to do, living and getting in how I lived. I was living off the land, living in this person's house, that person's house, whatever the case may be, for however long I was able to do that for a while, and I was living in the Cross Bronx at this time. At this time, I was living in the Cross Bronx right next to the barbershop, and with a person that was a fiend, and we're gonna call him Salsa, because every time you would see him, he'd be out there, he'd be high as shit, he'd be in front of the bodega dancing salsa. No music, just dancing like he was in a full club dancing salsa. But he's a good person. God bless him wherever he is. Now, I was living with him, and we used to call it the dungeon. Any basement, we would call it the dungeon, but this was really the dungeon. So we were living in the dungeon. Right next door, there was 2 doors in the basement. The room that me and Salsa lived in, and right next door was his nephew. You know what I mean? His nephew doesn't have nothing to do with the story. I'm just telling you what the layout of the land was. So Salsa, but mind you, this is a good place to conduct business, secret dealings and all this shit, because it's low, it's off the block. The Cross Bronx is not considered the block. It's not on the block, it's right next to the block. It's not hot like the block. The Cross Bronx, whatever, the police are just passing. Nobody's really getting money on the Cross Bronx like that at that time. So Salsa, I'd say a couple months before this dude came, and a couple of dudes. Now, the dude that bought the AK, let's call him Jada. You know what I mean? He buys the AK in hopes of probably flipping it. Now, he paid like $1,100-1,200 for it, you know what I mean? And it came with the bullets. And I was there when, whatever the shit happened or whatever, and, the shit was crazy. I didn't understand why he would get such a thing, especially because Jada wasn't really a street beef type dude. He wasn't like that. I just, I figured he's a businessman. Maybe he thought he could sell it for more down the line, which is what he attempted to do, but he got wrapped up doing it. So Jada buys this thing, and now you got to realize on the block, for whatever reason at this time, it was a lot of people with big guns. I'm not talking about 9s and 40s and all that. Now I'm talking about some choppers. It was reckless like that. But I didn't know, it didn't make sense because we really didn't have beef with nobody but each other. And to tell you the truth, we weren't we didn't like each other, but not to the point where somebody was gonna kill somebody. We all knew each other, you know what I mean? The worst that was gonna happen was a fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was it. But anyway, that being said, people had him, whatever the case may be. So now, what you gotta realize is with these big guns like that, you can't do nothing with them. They're big, they're doofy, and you really can't do shit with them. If you're really active in the street, you want something that you can walk around with. Something that you can keep that's low, that, you know what I mean, ain't gonna draw attention. You can have it with you just in case something pops off. You cannot walk around with a fucking AK or a tech or none of them shits. You cannot walk with them shits. Them shits is too big, and you're gonna get bagged. Especially back in the day with the stop and frisk. It doesn't matter. Even today, you walking around, you're not walking around with an AK. You're not. So anyway, but he bought it nonetheless. He buys it, and you know, he gets to a point where he's trying to sell it, but he's frustrated because nobody wants to buy it because it's big and it's stupid and nobody needs one. Nobody needs something like that. So finally, he's putting word out, you know, this, that, and the third, and whatever the case may be. And we always used to, if we weren't, like me, I lived on the Cross Bronx. Jada had a house on Chatterton. So, to put it in perspective, Chatterton and the Cross Bronx, the Chatterton is probably like 6 blocks away, you know what I mean, from each other. And so we used to chill a lot at Jada's house, you know what I mean? He had a little basement or whatever, but his family owned the house, but he had the basement. The basement was like, you know, it was nice. It was nothing crazy, but it was a spot where we used to go and smoke and chill and whatever the case may be and do whatever we was gonna do down there. And so one day, a few months after he buys it, Salsa comes and he tells him, yo, I found somebody that wants it. So, you know, they talking about it, they doing it, whatever. They talking about how it's gonna go down, and he came and told him this in the day. Now the deal wasn't supposed to go down until the nighttime, right? So my man had just came home. Let's call him Biggs. So Biggs just came home probably a couple weeks before that, you know what I mean? And he used to be with us on Chatterton chilling, you know? So now Salsa comes and tells him, like, you know, obviously he had a buyer, whatever the case may be. And Jada's like, all right, well, you know, whatever. Long story short, they make the deal, right? They go to, now they do the shit. Like I said, a lot of the dealings happen in the dungeon. That's where he bought the gun. That's where he sold the gun. So he sells it to the dude. Unbeknownst to him, the dude is an undercover. They wrap his ass up. Now, I don't know that they wrap him up. I'm on the block. But I know that Biggs and everybody, I was at my baby mom's house, and when I come down, nobody's outside. It's like, you know, summertime or whatever. It's like nobody, it's people outside, but nobody that I really, you know what I mean? Like the usual people that I see outside ain't outside. So I figured, all right, they must be on Chatterton, because that's where, you know, niggas go and chill and probably over there smoking, doing whatever. So I walk over to Chatterton. Now, mind you, at this time, I don't wear glasses. So I'm kind of blind. I really can't see that good far. And I get to Chatterton, and his house is kind of in the middle of the block. So I'm walking past the big building on Chatterton, and he lives in one of the private houses. So as I'm looking at the private house, and I could just see shapes in front. I could see there's people out in front of his house, right? So I look and I say, yo, Biggs. Because I could see it. It kind of looks like him. You're a big dude. Yo, Biggs. No answer. So I don't even bother going over there. I'm like, I don't know. If it was them, they would have said something. So I turn around and I go back. But I go back to my house, like to go back to the Cross Bronx. And as I'm walking, I run into my man Mal. And I'm walking towards the Cross Bronx. I wanted to run into my man Mal. We like, yo, let's, you know, he was going to the 24-hour store on the Circle. So we walking. Now, to get there, we have to pass my house. When we're walking, we see all type of cops in front of the house. Like, oh shit, what the fuck? Come to find out, we see them dragging Jada and Salsa out. We're like, oh, what the fuck? You know, thought in my head, but I didn't know for sure. I knew what they were doing. So it kind of clicked in my head like, oh, did they sell that shit to somebody that they wasn't supposed to? Or did they get caught walking with it towards the house? Because it wasn't in the dungeon. It was on Chatterton. And you had to walk all the way from Chatterton to this. So I'm thinking maybe they caught him walking in the door, whatever. We find out later what happened, that he was actually selling to an undercover. But we sitting there looking. Now we like, fuck the store. So we sitting there looking, just, talking, speculating, talking shit, laughing, whatever. And fucking, sure enough, we go to the store, we come back. When we come back from the store, they pretty much had everything cleared up. They had already taken them away. Pretty much everybody was gone. So we walk back to the block and I see Biggs. I'm like, yo, Biggs, where the fuck you was at? Like, I was looking for, I even walked to Chatterton. He was like, nigga, that was me in front of the house. And it was like 5 cops around me. That's why I didn't answer you. I didn't say nothing when you was calling me. I heard you calling me, but it was 5 cops because they had bagged him on Chatterton. No, they had bagged him on the Cross Bronx, and then they went to his address on Chatterton. And they was looking at, they was trying to get in the apartment and shit, but they couldn't get in. And Biggs was doing the same thing that I did. He went over there thinking, because he came out, he ain't seen nobody. He figured we was all on Chatterton, so he walked over there. And as soon as he got there, they was pulling up. And they ran down on him. Yo, what you doing here? This kind of thing. He's on parole, so he like, just came home, all this other shit. Long story short, they wrapped him up, man. They caught them, and they both went down. Now, obviously, they were in a world of shit because you selling a fucking AK-47 to an undercover with 1,000 rounds is a hefty, hefty charge. And yeah, Jada pretty much, I didn't see him after that. You know what I mean? And it's not because he was wrapped up and got a ton of years. It was because, he did a little bit of time, but he didn't do enough time where I would feel that, he didn't do enough time that I thought. He didn't do as much time as I thought he would, considering the charges that he fucking had. And, the magnitude of the fucking case. He wound up moving upstate, and God bless the dad. He passed a few years back. He was a good dude. He was not like, He was, like I said, he wasn't a violent or none of that type dude. He was a get money dude. He was always just to sell his little bud and shit like that. He wasn't on it like that. He was a good dude. And yeah, I know him forever. I know his family. I know his cousins. I know everybody. And it's sad to say that he passed. Southside, I heard that he's still running around somewhere, doing him. He look, whatever. My man Biggs is doing his thing too. Everybody's good, man. Obviously, unfortunately for Jada, he passed away due to this. I don't know what happened to him. I forgot what they said happened to him, but he passed away, I would say, about 3, 4, 5 years ago. And yeah, man, that's the case, man. That's what happened, yo. So he got wrapped up with like I said, an AK-47 and 1,000 rounds in a book bag, And like I said, man, at that time, for whatever reason, it was so many, like, people had a lot of them shits. They were out there. Like, hey, when New Year's Eve, when you would fucking be out there past 12 o'clock, you would hear the shit. You would hear it all over. You'd hear motherfuckers on Castle Hill. You'd hear people on Virginia. You'd hear motherfuckers over there on White Plains and all this shit over there down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd hear people on everywhere. Like, you'd hear some shit. You'd hear like the bang, 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 but you'd hear like some choppers. Like, oh, these niggas, oh, where that came from? That came from over there. That came from. But them niggas got that. Like, it was out there. I don't know. And I'm sure that they still probably playing with them shits now. But yeah, man. It's a quick little story, man. Much love to everybody. Like I said, I really appreciate everybody that stuck by me and has really been supporting me and holding me down from day one, man. It's been a long journey, 1,000, and hopefully we could get to 100,000. But if we don't, I'm good. I love all my people. I appreciate all my people. I'd rather have 1,000 or whatever, 1,000 real people that really fuck with me than have 400,000 people that really don't fuck with me, man. I respect and I love all y'all, and I hope that y'all have a blessed day. Keep God first. Love on your family. And until the next time, peace.